Hello, it's time for This Week in WordPress episode 162 entitled Chickens Are Now Legal in Chicago. It was recorded on Monday the 10th of May 2021. My name is Paul Lacey and this week we are joined on the panel by Jewel from WP Managed Ninja, Donata and Hans from Termageddon, and regular guest and friend of the show Bernard from Pods, as we discuss some WordPress related current affairs and news, including the Page Builder Summit event and a new plugin, Classic Widgets, launches to help smooth the way for more block editor implementation inside of WordPress conversion 5.8. We also talk privacy policies in WordPress with Donata and Hans and learn how Donata was able to get the law changed in Chicago to allow people to legally keep chickens. We celebrate Fluent CRM's David vs Goliath triumph in the TalkMag Plugin Madness tournament and discuss how community can be your best marketing asset as a plugin vendor. And finally, we learn about a designer from Argentina that managed to buy google.com.ar from none other than the Google domain store itself. See you in a moment.
This Week in WordPress was brought to you by Termageddon. When you build contact forms for client websites, you may be forcing that client to comply with multiple privacy laws. Rather than avoiding discussing the importance of privacy policies with your clients, try out Termageddon, the auto-updating privacy policy generator. The best part is that Termageddon gives web agencies a free set of their policies forever, in the hope that you like their product and use their reseller or referral programs to help your clients get protected too. Your client gets protected, you make more recurring revenue. Go to Termageddon.com and click the Agency Partners page to receive your free license today. And by A/B Split Test. Do you want to set up your A/B Split Tests in record time? The new A/B Split Test plugin for WordPress will have you up and running in a couple of minutes. Use your existing pages and test anything against anything else. Buttons, images, headers, rows, anything. And the best part is that it works with Elementor, Beaver Builder and the WordPress block editor. Go check it out and get a free demo at absplittest.com.
Hello, I think and hope we are live. Can everyone hear me? Brilliant. Can you make a noise as well as sticking your thumbs up?
I'll start this off. Hello, everyone.
There you go. That works. It seems to be working. Fantastic. Well, hello. Welcome to This Week in WordPress. It's just me without Nathan today. So Nathan is currently hosting, along with Unchan LaRue, the Page Builder Summit, which we'll come back to that shortly and mention that in the news. So it's just me today, which means that likely everything will go wrong because normally I rely on Nathan to press all the buttons. But we'll see how it goes anyway. So let's see if I can handle this all by myself. So anyway, so today we have myself and an esteemed panel of experts, and we're discussing various current affairs in WordPress. So let's introduce the panel. So first of all, we have a new sponsor for the show, Termageddon, Donata and Hans Skillrud. Have I said that right? Skillrud.
Yeah.
Yep, cool. And they are the two co-founders of Termageddon, which is an auto-updating website policies generator. Donata, Termageddon's president, is a licensed attorney who has provided US legislators with guidance on how to write privacy laws on behalf of American Bar Association. So that sounds pretty awesome. Hans is Termageddon's vice president, overseeing agency partnerships, ensuring web agencies get a free set of Termageddon's auto-updating policies, as well as the ability for agencies to resell licenses to clients. Also, prior to Termageddon, Hans ran a 12-person web design agency in downtown Chicago, which he sold in 2019. And outside of work, you can find Donata and Hans working in their garden, managing their beehive, and making sure their chickens aren't frolicking in their neighbors' yards. I'm going to come back to this chickens point, if that's okay. Because I'm a chicken person myself. So I will come back to that shortly before we start the actual news. Also, I'm really pleased today that we have a returning guest, but I wasn't here last time he was on the show. We have Jewel, who is the founder of WP Managed Ninja, which actually is nothing to do with recruiting martial art experts. It's actually a WordPress product company, and some of their main products are a very popular form plugin called Fluent Forms. Also, their most recent plugin, Fluent CRM. And Jewel actually wanted to be a scientist and has a degree in chemical engineering. So obviously is a very smart person compared to me. I had what's called a Mickey Mouse degree. Also, recently, though, we're very pleased because recently Jules' latest product, Fluent CRM, won the Talk Mag Plugin Madness competition. But we'll come on to that one shortly as well. And last but not least, we also have Bernard Greneau. And Bernard, I asked you for an up-to-date intro and you wouldn't send me one, and you just said you're just a guy and then sent me some emojis. So I don't know if you want to give yourself a quick intro to let people know who you are and what you do.
Most of the regular watchers should know me by now. I'm just working on websites, occasionally helping out with pods and Beaver Builder. I wrote the plugin which integrates the both of two, and selling hot chocolate and never sending it out because we're only set in Austria.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Yeah, so you probably undersold yourself there. I would say that Bernard's family business is one of the most prestigious chocolate companies in the world, and also Bernard also has an amazing plugin for Beaver Builder, which integrates Beaver Builder and pods together, which I've used on absolutely tons and tons of websites. So again, I'll come back to the chickens in a minute, but if people want to get involved in the comments today, please go to doipbuilds.com/live, and there you can watch the stream, which you're probably already watching if you're listening to this, but also you can comment via the YouTube, or you can go into the Facebook group and comment via there. So hello, Christopher Hughes. I can see you're already commenting on there. So anyway, before we get to the news, tell me about your chickens, Hans and Donata.
So we have 2 that are fully grown, and then we have 4 babies in the garage. So we have like a little setup for them in the garage. And yeah, they're little firecrackers because they love walking across the street. And you know, why the chicken crossed the road? It's because the bugs on the other side look better.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they end up in the neighbors' yards quite a bit, unfortunately. But you know, they're good chickens. They just hang around and roam all day and get themselves into trouble. And yeah.
Yeah. My favorite part of the chickens is that at one point in time, a neighbor complained about our chickens, I think, and we had to move our shed into the backyard. And turns out there's a law that we can't have chickens. And it's such a good representation of Donata. What did she do? Rather than getting rid of the chicken, she got the law changed. So now chickens are legal in our county, and like people are embracing it. And tons of people are getting chickens now.
Yeah,
really
there's
cool.
a lot of people getting chickens now because it's finally legal, which is awesome.
That is amazing. I mean, I always knew the two of you were pretty, you know, naughty when it comes to the law and everything. And this chicken breaking the law of the chickens is really kind of proving that. But that's crazy. But I'm super happy that you managed to change the law. That's pretty cool for the community as well. I mean, we were talking in Messenger just before, and some people might know that I've got some chickens, but actually, I've currently only got 1 chicken. I know, yeah. One of them died about 2 months ago, just of natural causes, and then the other one we had before that the fox got them, which is obviously when you have chickens. I don't know if this has happened to you yet, but it just goes with the territory that one or some of them will get taken by a predator. But we also had a neighbor who didn't like our chickens as well. But I don't think there's any laws as such, but we had very low fences and our chickens would constantly jump over. And the lady next door, she actually had a phobia of birds in general. And the chickens would come to her back door and she was really, really scared. And we kept trying to put different fences up to stop it. We've moved house now and she's probably really, really happy. But we've currently got 1 chicken, but we've got 2 or 3, I think, on order coming next month. So we're looking forward to getting the new batch to make friends with Mabel. So
that's great.
Everything wants to kill chickens.
Yeah,
like
we've had, so I don't know if you guys have these, but we have a lot of raccoons in our area. So they've tried to kill the chickens. And there was one time where one made it into the coop while the chickens were in there and didn't kill any of them. And Hans and I had to get it out. And I was hiding beneath a metal trash can lid. And I had a pitchfork in my hands. And I was just trying to get it out. It was bad, but it's always an adventure, I would say, having chickens.
Everything wants to kill chickens. From above, you know, you have hawks. From below, you have like foxes, raccoons, possums.
coyotes. Yeah.
It's definitely hard being a chicken. It's not an easy life like people might think.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
the only place chickens live here are in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do eat chicken as well, but I've kind of changed. We'll come back to this chicken point later, actually, the chicken and food and the food industry. I think Jewel knows what I'm talking about here. But we should probably get into something that we should probably get something into WordPress to some extent anyway. So I'm going to share the screen on our first article today. So as I mentioned earlier, let's see if we can pull this up. Okay. There we go. Cool. Okay, so our first item today is the reason that Nathan isn't actually here, and it's that the Page Builder Summit, which you can get to at pagebuildersummit.com, is live and happening right now. So if you haven't signed up to that already, please go to pagebuildersummit.com after this show, obviously, and you can watch all of the talks for free. All of the talks that are on every day are available for free for 24 hours as well, but you can also upgrade to something called the Page Builder Summit Power Pack, where you can get access for a long, long time to all of those different talks. And I think that Termageddon and DOIP Manage Ninja are both, or Fluent CRM, are both sponsors of the Page Builder Summit as well, if I'm right. So again, thank you for that. So people, go and check that out, because it is an absolutely incredible schedule. We've got it on the screen at the moment. You can see one of the first things that is happening every day is that you can get one of the vaulted talks available, which means basically one of the really popular ones from last year. So Chantel's talk here was super popular last year. So that one's there available today. And then we kicked off today with a little talk with Nathan and Anchen, followed by legend Lee Matthew Jackson doing a talk about how Page Builder saved his business. Then we have Pete Chineri, who is a UX expert, and she's talking about typography with page builders. As we speak at the moment, Don't Compete with Gutenberg, Embrace It is happening right now. So some of you might be dual watching. I don't know how you do that, but you could obviously watch that one later if you're watching this. Then we've got Beth Livingston up next, followed by, I don't know how you say this, I'm going to say Jake Fowle, who is talking about Google's Core Web Vitals with Gutenberg, followed by David Blackman talking about e-commerce with Divi, and then Jonathan Jernigan is talking about Oxygen Builder, and then a live networking session at the end, which I imagine Bernard might well be in. Is anybody attending the summit? I assume that you hopefully are, being as two of you are sponsors. And Bernard, you always turn up to these things, don't you? So,
oh yeah, we'll be there for sure.
Yeah, of course. When maybe not watching everything, but taking a look what's going on, what people are telling. I mean, some of the talks you already know, like the one from Chantal, because she's great and she did a very nice talk last year. And I think the day or two, there's a POTS talk from Scott from last year, which is a very good watch too. So he already built upon the findings he had there with POTS Pro. So it's interesting.
I think one of the highlights of last year was the PODS talk, because if I remember rightly, Scott played his ukulele at the end of the talk. Was it? Is that right? He made a little song and played a song at the end. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe he'll do it. Yeah, he's not going to. Obviously, he's not doing a live talk this year, but you can go and watch that again. One of the focuses this year, though, does seem to be performance. So you've got the block editor coming into play a lot in the summit, and also performance. So there's quite a few talks about Core Web Vitals. I've got a talk, and that is about Beaver Builder and Core Web Vitals. We had here, let's just see. Jake's talk is about Core Web Vitals. I know Mike Oliver from GeneratePress.com is talking about his work and also Core Web Vitals. So performance definitely seems to be a thing in this year's schedule. But the thing I would say about this event is that it's a very polite event. So you can imagine that a page builder summit is extremely tribal. Everybody's kind of like, this is my favorite. This is my favorite page builder. This is my favorite page builder. And normally in Facebook groups and communities, that can really go downhill quickly, these kind of discussions. But Nathan Wrigley is involved in this. And whenever he's involved, it means it's going to be super, super polite. So
He's British. What else?
Yeah, exactly. Has anyone got anything they want to say about the summit before we move to the rest of the news items, or should we move on?
I gotta say, like, when I go to online networking events, I definitely online events in general, definitely recommend going to the networking portion. Especially now, I feel like I haven't seen another person except for Hans in like an eternity now, apart from like the grocery store. So it's nice to interact with people in these events. I definitely recommend going to that portion as well as the talks too.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, I'm hoping that it's like a video chat based networking session. I'm not sure if it is, but I mean, it's absolutely right, because we've obviously been starved from real events in the last couple of years. Almost, it's going to be almost like 2 years until we're probably, from the time we went to an event with people until we go to another one. And the relationships that you make at real events are long lasting. I mean, Hans and I met at an event, and that's why, I just thought today, right, I would love to have some people on the show today. Who can I, reach out to? I thought of Hans, and then Nathan said, oh, that's great, because he's a sponsor now as well. But, I think these ones that you have at these summits where you do have the video screens and you can talk to each other are really nice. I mean, last year I actually went to a couple of those events, the digital ones, and specifically decided I need to try and make some new friends today.
Yeah.
I'm going to go here and, turn the camera on, turn the microphone on, and just go out with the plan to meet a new person in the community and make a new friend, even if it's just one person. So I totally recommend turning your camera on if that is a possibility on this particular summit.
I think that's the day one is a private one just for Power Pack buyers. So I don't know how it's going to work because I didn't buy it.
You didn't buy it?
No, I won it for last year, and I mean, most of the talks are kind of repetitive for me at least. Yeah. I know my focus. I always look over the fence and come back to Beaver Builder because it's the only one for me, at least.
Well, it was nice having Bernard on the show for a while anyway. But oh, the power. No, yeah, I mean, I think the live one is just for the Power Pack users. So I'm not sure how much the Power Pack costs, but I know it's a very reasonable price, and I know that Bernard,
it's fair, but I mean,
really good price. Yeah. Anyway, Jewel, have you got anything you want to say about the summit at all, or should we move on to the next piece?
I enjoy the online events because I can't go anywhere in the last 1.5 years almost. So and I miss the physical events, especially WordCamps, because we go to WordCamps. Actually, just don't want to watch the events or talks, okay, but also talk with the real persons, meet with them, know about their business or sharing ideas, those type of things. So I still miss those things, and I think in online we can't actually do that. But maybe what I do actually personally, that I joined lots of Slack groups, also Discord, and many Facebook groups. So basically, I try to communicate as many people as I can, and then maybe talk with them. So definitely this is very good, and I'm a very big fan of this Page Builder Summit. Great talks. Like in this event, I'm very interested to see the Web Vitals related talks. That is very important. So yeah, I am looking forward towards the talks that I'm interested in actually.
Cool. I think it's definitely worth taking part and doing everything you can in these last years to connect with people online, because I think even when we are allowed to go to events and we eventually get to see each other all again and that kind of thing and meet new people, it's so much fun when you meet someone who you've met online and then you meet them for the first time in real life. But the hardest part for me was when you go somewhere and you walk into a room and there's 15 people who you've met online and you just don't know who to speak to first. You're just completely overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, who do I? I know everyone in here, but I don't know them. It's great.
It's different on the live events because you stumble into one group and talk with one, and the other guy joins, and then do you know? And it's another way of introduction because you meet people, and it's not like you can't do that because only one can speak in these events unless you have multiple rooms, and then often one room is empty because everybody is in the main room, and because the interaction isn't the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I missed you at WordCamp Europe, Bernard. I was going to go to that event, but I didn't. I think it was 2019, I think.
Yep.
And I saw all the photos of you there and everything. I was like, oh man, I was going to meet Bernard.
It was really great talking with Pika and Nathan, and it's just, you get another feeling for the people and have a drink afterwards. And it's like people don't have just blocked their 1 hour for the event and then they have to work because they are physically there. They can't really do their normal work and focus on the event itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's move to the next item. So let's take a look what we've got coming up next. Oh, that's just me, sorry. Here we go. I told you I didn't really know what I was doing with this tool. Okay, so the next piece we've got is a kind of WordPress core update. This is an article on WordPress Tavern by Justin Tadlock, and it's announcing that there is a new plugin called Classic Widgets, which basically disables WordPress block-based widget system that is getting built into core in WordPress 5.8, which is, I think, the next major release. So I think this is a move towards the block editor becoming like the main user interface for kind of everything in WordPress. And also, I think widgets has been a clunky system of WordPress for forever, really. But it's something that we're all used to. So I'm kind of like welcoming that it's there, that this new thing is coming. But the funny thing for me is that, as usual, a new major feature gets released into WordPress core, and the immediate response is a official plugin to turn this new feature off, which I know, Bernard, you find that particularly amusing as well. So I don't know if anyone's got anything to say about this, or if anyone does use widgets or is kind of welcoming the use of or the kind of slow phase out of widgets or something like that. It might not be something that anyone here has got too much interest in, but I think it's just showing that things are moving forward. Bernard, did you have something you wanted to say? Sorry.
Well, I mean, if it comes to widgets, using page builders, it isn't a thing really. I mean, barely a sidebar anymore, and I think even the concept of a sidebar is less and less used on many websites because it's becoming different. We don't have this content block and then besides it, the options. I think it's a good thing that there are tools to disable new stuff because some people won't use it or don't like it. Personally, I'm still using blocking the Gutenberg for the classic editor because it's a pain in the ass if you're dealing with structured content and custom fields, and it's still not dealt with. And I hope every release, I hope they do something about it, but it seems maybe I'm too small of a user group because it's great for content. No argument there if you're writing blog posts. And I think it will be great for the widget area because you can now have a little bit more dynamic and more styling options, especially for inexperienced users. It's maybe easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else got anything they want to say on this particular one, or is it?
I mean, there's pros and cons to announcements like this. I mean, the other side is the fact that if you try to disable all the new things as WordPress releases updates, you're going to find yourself just disabled and stuck in like 2020 or 2019 or before. So I think it's just a balancing act of, staying on top of what's new and, embracing it to the best degree you can, because, with something that is open source that constantly improves on itself, like you kind of have to you have to roll with the punches to a certain degree. You have to take on the pros and cons of us all moving together with this one system. And, there might be some things you don't like. There might be some things you do. So I would say, it's great that features like this get released where people can disable certain things that they don't necessarily want, but also just keeping in mind that, it's going to be there probably moving forward, ongoing.
Yeah, there's no stopping the momentum of this project moving forward. You know, whether we like it or not, the block editor and full site editing is coming. So it's kind of like I'm personally at the point where I guess I may as well embrace it, having been in denial for some time. But Jewel, you have a number of WordPress projects and plugins, and some of those are pretty big plugins. For you, just in general, not just the widgets, because the widgets is kind of just a minor thing, but for you in general, in terms of like what the WordPress core project is doing, is this affecting you in a positive or a negative? Is it like opportunity or is it a headache?
I think the classic editor is, so old, and I don't know. People were solving problems the classic editor with, custom layout, lots of, metadata and those type of things. And I think, Gutenberg is a blessing. Like for our use case, we are using it, before 5.20, we were started using it as a plugin. And now our content editors actually easily make the blog post, build the blog post beautifully and more interactive. So I think people should embrace it. And even I see that even someone actually like the classic editor, still they can actually use it same thing, they can actually use it as a block, as a classic editor. They have some problem with the custom fields, those type of things. But I think people should embrace the changes. It's really cool. I am really excited about Gutenberg, and for the plugin developers, I think this is a new thing, new opportunity. And lots of companies are actually building blocks, and is a performance wise. I love Gutenberg. Like our sites were built using Elementor, back I think 2015, 16. Now we are trying to convert those, sites to Gutenberg, because this is fast, this is good. I don't think that I can't understand why people are still using, say, classic editor.
I can give you a reason.
I don't have a reason for that. So yeah, so I think people should start using it. Maybe Mark, if someone actually let me know why people are still using classic editor. Still,
I can tell you why I used it, and it's quite simple.
Yeah.
Because of the user interface. If you're working with fields, like we have customers where I have like not really blog post type-ish stuff. So just think about people, think about I don't know, rooms or books or whatever. And coming from pods, I work mainly on stuff which is, I always try to structure it. Like it has some custom fields because, I don't know, like if you have a person, first name, second name, address, telephone number, and this stuff is poorly done in Gutenberg because it's far below the custom fields, so the people don't see it at first. And most of the time it's anyway a blueprint and not their design of, because every person should look the same, like a directory or stuff like that. And then the meta fields in this small sidebar, it's so small on the side. If you have categories or taxonomies and all that metadata, that's poorly done. Sorry. It's great for news. It's great to have your long form content, no discussions there. You can put your images in and you can have your text and all that stuff. But everything around it, if you deal with more structured sites, isn't there. It's a nightmare for users to deal with it, because
I totally understand that. So I think that people should kind of embrace Gutenberg first. Then if someone has a custom post type, like say people directory, then people think people should just disable the Gutenberg in that custom post type, and they have that option actually. So when you actually register in post type, you can actually just disable the REST API, and the Gutenberg will be disabled in that post. So it's like it depends on the requirements, but most of the people, I see some people that they don't have this type of post type, they still try to build their blog post in classic editor. So so it's not like I think they did not try it, or they tried before it was got matured, but still they are trying to use it no matter what. So it's like if a custom post type actually need like many structural data, post meta, then yeah, that makes sense that we can disable that for specific that post type. But for page or the post, I think it's a great Gutenberg is great, and I really love it. And I am also excited about the 5.8 that I can still the thing is actually that in the classic widget I can actually do the same thing with the new site builder widget interface. So that is also cool. I don't know why WordPress actually released a disable widget feature, but I tried the beta of WordPress 90 build, and I see that I could do the same thing with the site builder options.
What, with the widgets?
Yeah, with the widget,
Yeah.
because you will get all the widget actually, old widget into your site.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of this particular plugin, I don't know if we all need to use this or not, but one thing I did see in the Dopey Tavern article was it showed that on some websites, just the formatting of like an existing widget might change very subtly.
Yeah.
But if you kind of had your design perfect and then suddenly you manage 50 or 100 websites for clients or something, then it might be something for anyone who's kind of managing multiple websites just to install just in case, and then do some spot checking on different sites to see where problems are appearing, and seeing if we need to keep if the plugin needs to stay there for a while. They've said that they're going to support it for something like a year or two anyway, so there's plenty of time to migrate those kind of things over. But it is another thing that we need to be aware of, and not everybody's happy about it. I'm kind of on the fence, I would say. We had Lee Matthew Jackson on the show just the other day, and actually he's kind of moving away from WordPress almost altogether as a platform, not necessarily leaving the community as such. He's just decided that the platform isn't right for his business anymore, and he kind of felt that the Gutenberg block editor and the way that Matt Mullenweg, for instance, was thinking about the whole experience was very much almost like a competition to something like Wix or Squarespace, rather than thinking about what people like Bernard are thinking about with custom fields and this kind of more of a database type of website. But then again, we know pods, there's a new version of pods either out or coming out. You've got Toolset as well. And to some extent, it seems that like there is some embracing of the block editor there, even if it's kind of reluctant. But I guess we don't really have that much choice. We need to move forward, and unfortunately, and all of us, I guess, have got some work to do. But Jewel, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of stuff to be excited about in the future. But it does feel that like for some time we've been stuck waiting to see what's happening. And we're just about at the point now, I think, where like the community of third-party plugins will genuinely jump on and start moving things forward. But we'll see what the next year brings, really. Any other comments on this particular plugin or the block editor in general, or should we move on? We can move on. All right, brilliant. Right, look at that. Look, we found an old article from the archives from Termageddon. And this isn't because you guys are sponsors. This is just because you're here and you're experts. And I think that it's a good opportunity to talk to you about this. So this is one of your own blog posts on termageddon.com. And it's called, "Is Your WordPress Privacy Policy Compliant?" And what's interesting about this article to me is that the actual WordPress system itself comes with like a kind of basic template for a privacy policy. And I think the problem let's just say the positive thing about that is that it makes it visible. And this is one of the things that you said in the article. So you're aware that your site should have a privacy policy, and WordPress core gives you the option to have one. The downside is that your typical user is probably a little bit ignorant like me in that we kind of think, okay, that's there. I assume that meets all the needs that I had. Privacy policy done. I can move to the next thing. See what's the next thing I need to worry about. But it's probably not the case. So while we've got you on the show, I was wondering, if the majority of people are assuming that, if WordPress ships with a privacy policy, then that's good enough, surely. First of all, is that the case? And second, if it's not, what are the benefits of taking this more seriously, or the consequences of not taking it seriously enough? Because I think the standard reaction is, I will just try and ignore this.
Yes. Yeah. As a former agency owner, I used to copy and paste privacy policies for my clients all the time.
Done that.
I ended up having to marry a privacy attorney to realize that's probably not a good strategy long term. But I'll let
that's all you have to do. Hopefully WordPress can make a match for you with a privacy attorney, and then you'll be all set. So I think when it comes to the privacy policy template that WordPress comes with, the core team did a great job on that. Their goal was to provide awareness for people that they need to have a privacy policy. That was the goal with the template. The goal with the template was not to comply with any privacy law. It's just to bring your attention to the fact that you need a privacy policy, which I think is great. Unfortunately, the privacy policy that it came with, and you're welcome to read the blog post and all of that, it's not compliant with any privacy law. So there's not a single privacy law that the template complies with. So it's really, I personally wouldn't use it, especially when it comes to like people who are not lawyers. There's some paragraphs where just like the paragraph title, and then you're expected to write the rest. And that doesn't really work for most people unless you are a lawyer or a privacy lawyer. And then when it comes to writing a privacy policy, the way that every single lawyer will write a privacy policy and the way that a privacy policy should be written is the first step is figuring out what privacy laws apply to you. Because each privacy law has a series of things that's required to have in it, right? So it has a series of disclosures that you need to have in your privacy policy. So if you don't know what privacy laws apply to you, you don't know what those disclosures need to be, and then your privacy policy is not compliant. So the goal of having a privacy policy is not just to have a privacy policy; it's to comply with the privacy laws that apply to you, so that you don't get fined or sued. And right now, there's over 20 privacy bills being considered in the United States as well. So when you use a template like this, it doesn't notify you when these laws go into effect. It doesn't tell you what changes you need to make. So it's just not a good compliance solution for right now, and it's also not a good compliance solution for the future. So, some of these smaller businesses that are just starting out, it's a free template. You want to use that because it's free and you think it's fine. But unfortunately, if you get fined for privacy law non-compliance, WordPress isn't going to pay for that. They're just not. And fines for privacy laws are actually calculated per website visitor. So starting out at $2,500 per website visitor. So let's say you have 100 visitors from California and have a contact form but don't have a privacy policy. That's 2,500 times 100. WordPress isn't going to pay for that. That's going to be on you. And the size of your business doesn't really matter either. So my suggestion would be to make at least a small investment into this so you can kind of pass that compliance threshold and then not have to worry about it, versus using a free solution that's not compliant and then kind of, being in trouble later on.
Yeah. Where I personally stand is, as someone who built websites for clients who, didn't necessarily value privacy that other people, may value it at. My message to agency owners is pretty clear, which is don't make decisions on behalf of your client if they want to comply with privacy laws or not. Rather, allocate that liability to them. Let them be aware of the fact that, hey, we built a website with a contact form. That means you're collecting personal information and you may need to provide a privacy policy with making specific disclosures. Hey, we installed Google Analytics, same exact concept. So my biggest thing that I advocate for is don't be the one to make the decision for your client if they want to comply with privacy laws or not. Rather, have some privacy attorneys you can connect them with, or you could use a program like Termageddon. It's the most comprehensive generator out there. But anyways, or find some sort of way to help your clients, get a comprehensive set of policies for their website. Don't be the one to make the decision for them.
Let's say you are an agency. I was an agency. Now I'm more like a freelancer these days, doing different things. But I still have clients that I manage. And let's say one of your. So first of all, let's go through the agency situation. So let's say you're an agency and you tell. The first step you get right is that you stop trying to help your customers do the wrong thing by going, I don't know, don't worry about it, let's just copy and paste this one. So first of all, you never should do that.
No.
Number two, you put the responsibility with them and try and help them understand what the situation is. What if they're not interested? What, as an agency owner, what's your liability as the creator of the website? Do you need something in your own contract or something, or?
Yeah, so really that's where your contract with your clients comes in. And your contract should say that you're not offering any warranties and that you're not promising that the website will be compliant with privacy laws or with accessibility laws or anything like that. So make sure that your contract has that. And then tell your client in writing that they need to have a privacy policy. So what I would do is, send them an email or have them sign like a waiver or something like that saying, your website is collecting personal information. We recommend that you look into having a privacy policy for your website, as you may be required to have one by law, right? And at that point, the client just signs off on it saying, yes, I do want to do this, or no, I don't want to do this. And then at that point, it's up to them. Like, it's their responsibility to make sure that their website is compliant. You can't really shove it down their throats as much as we'd love to, but definitely make sure that you do this in writing and make sure that you check your contracts. I know some contract templates say like, this website will be compliant with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations. Make sure that your contract doesn't say that. Make sure that you're adequately protecting yourself.
Or make sure you're charging 7 figures for each website.
I wouldn't even do it for that. I would not even do it for that. So
yeah, the documentation piece is what I'm a huge advocate for. Like, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And that is a statement that I think every agency or freelancer, I use the word agency, and I mean anyone who builds websites for clients, everyone knows what that statement's all about. And like with privacy law compliance, with website policies in general, rather than pretending this is not real, just embrace it. Let them know they need to find a solution, so that and your objective is to get a response. And they could be like, hey, thanks, but I'm just not interested in website policies. Awesome. Now you have it documented, so that if they do get fined or sued for privacy law noncompliance, you have a document you can follow, or you have a record.
Evidence.
Yeah, you have a record where you said, I discussed this with you. And that's all that really matters. I mean, look, I get it. Small business owners, they have to put their budgets into things, and maybe that they don't have the room to budget for a generator or a privacy attorney. That's fine, but that doesn't mean you should be making that decision for them without even bringing it up to them.
And I think you'd actually be surprised as to how many of your clients are like, oh man, I didn't know that. That's a great thing to know. A lot of clients feel that way, and a lot of clients are thankful that agencies bring this up with them.
As well as privacy policies, does Termageddon offer things like terms and conditions for things like e-commerce stores and stuff like that?
Yes, have the terms.
Disclaimers.
Because I think privacy policies, cookie policies are kind of they're kind of classed as like a defensive thing that we have to do as such. I know that's possibly wrong, but I did listen to a podcast a few years ago that really made me rethink the concept of terms and conditions on websites. The terms and conditions. So the privacy policy, that's there to protect your users as such, and also the website owner from the law. But the terms and conditions, especially if you've got anything e-commerce related, is 100% there to protect the business. So when a business decides not to bother with terms and conditions, they're basically saying, I don't have any terms and conditions. If I get taken to court, I'm not stating which country I even get taken to court into and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's definitely worth looking into the stuff that you guys do for terms and conditions, because even if someone's not interested in privacy policy, they should be having a terms and conditions to protect their business as such from anything that can go wrong online, because we know things go wrong online. Are people getting fined now as well for data and privacy policies and terms these days? Is it pretty common now in the States?
Yeah, so for terms of service can help limit your liability on your website. We definitely recommend it for any website. So for example, like if you have a link to your Facebook or your LinkedIn pages, and somebody goes there and gets a virus or gets injured, otherwise, you want to make sure that you limit your liability there. Potentially limit the likelihood of lawsuits for copyright infringements on like images and stuff like that are uploaded on the site. So, terms and conditions is a great way to protect your business too. We do, in terms of the privacy policy, or actually in terms of service, nobody's really getting fined by government regulators for their terms of service, unless it's like you're running some kind of a scam, right? Terms of service is much less government regulations and much more, protection for your business if you're in the U.S. If you're in the UK, Canada, and the EU, you do need to have like consumer protections in there. That's very important. That's the way you can get fined for terms in the EU and such. And then when it comes to privacy policies, we do see a lot of fines going around for GDPR non-compliance in the EU. That's huge. I mean, there's been thousands and thousands of fines that have been issued. In the U.S., we are starting to see some movement in terms of like California's new privacy law, and we're starting to see a lot more lawsuits from California as well. And as more of these laws pass, we'll see more enforcement. Some privacy bills are actually even suggesting allowing consumers to sue businesses directly, which I think will be interesting to see if that passes.
Well, and the way I like to look at it is, 5 years ago when SSLs were around, but let's be real, you got them for e-commerce stores and you didn't really think much beyond that. But nowadays, when you go to a website that's not secure, you don't feel secure. I think everyone feels that way. And that's how I feel about privacy policies. Like, don't get me wrong, Donata's right. Like, privacy laws exist right now and require specific disclosures to be made. But there are bills, like New York has 3 bills, but one of their bills will enable citizens of New York to sue any business of any size located anywhere for having as little as a contact form on their website without a privacy policy providing their specific disclosure requirements. Canada's privacy law, Pipetta, they're proposing a change to that. And there's 28 other privacy bills in the US. So what we see is like, I very much think of this as the proactive era where people can educate their clients about the growing importance of privacy law compliance and propose a strategy, something like Termageddon or a privacy attorney or something like that, to keep those privacy policies up to date when New York passes, if New York passes that bill, or the 28 other bills that are out there right in the US. I think 5 years from now, in the future, we're going to look at this time and be like, remember when companies used to just collect all your data and didn't really care about what they had, in terms of how they disclosed it? I think we're going to see the same thing, like how we saw with SSL certificates. We're going to see the same thing with privacy policies.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, especially in the last, couple of years where, COVID has meant that we've had to do what we're told by the government all the time, more than we would normally be used to doing. I think people are more aware of that their data is being collected. Then you've got Facebook and Apple fighting over data and Apple advocating for their users' data. And I think that will trickle down, like you said, Hans, and basically website owners will start to realize that having a really good disclosure on their website is not just something to stop them getting fined. It's something to tell all of their users, hey, we're really responsible, we really value you, and we're going to look after your data. And nice, I like that, Bernard. That's really cool.
It shouldn't have happened.
So yeah, for anyone only listening to this, Bernard is playing again with his background patterns on his camera.
If we're talking about privacy policies, we got to be doing something entertaining, right? So
yeah. Bernard was clearly so engaged in that conversation, he started pressing
No,
buttons in
the
his
tool
webcam.
had an update that has a new timer, and we're gonna stop that.
There you go. Well, look what happened there. Well done, Bernard. You've disappeared from the stream now for the second time today.
You kicked me again.
I didn't kick you. You kicked yourself out this time. I don't know what you are now. You're just a rotating icon at the moment. You're back. Cool. Well, definitely then, I think anyone who's interested in this kind of thing, go to termageddon.com and check out the different options there. And also, you'll also find Hans and Donata in all of the usual Facebook groups, and also you've been really generous and supported lots of events and stuff that's going on of late. And I've met you, Hans, as well at an event, and I can just say that you are a super friendly, approachable person. And Donata, you must be as well if the two of you are together. So, and you like chickens.
A little bit.
Yeah, we're opposites. So she's unfriendly, I'm friendly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you both like chickens, so you must be good people.
That's
so,
right. No,
yeah.
I was just telling Donata some great stories about when we first met. That was a life-changing event for me. I had just sold my agency, went full-time Termageddon, and never looked back. It's been amazing because of people like you that I got to meet. So.
Yeah, I hope that we get to do that again. I'm looking for. I mean, I know that there will be events like that again soon, but I mean, we effectively met on stage. Yep. So normally when Hans and I are speaking, we're either on a stage or a live stream of some sort. And but in the good thing in the real world, we were able to have a beer after and everything as well, and talk after. But yeah, that was awesome, and I really enjoyed meeting you there as well. All right. Has anyone got anything else they want to say about privacy policies as such, or should we move on to Fluent CRM?
I think we reached our quota in terms of how long we can talk about privacy policies. It's no longer a discussion we can have.
Yeah, sure. Well, Bernard seemed to feel like he needed to move on as well, didn't he? So we can move on. So anyway, back in when was this? When was Fluent CRM 2.0 released, Joel? Which month was that?
I think 2 weeks ago we released Fluent CRM 2.0. So it was actually the big update. So lots of things we integrated in this version. The main feature was that the multipath that is you are seeing now, multipath conditional automation funnel. So that was the biggest update so far. And I believe this is the feature that ActiveCampaign have. And I think it's a very powerful feature that you can run automation based on certain condition of your contact, like if someone actually purchased a product, if did not purchase, then actually promote another product, something like that. So that was 2.0, and we also added lots of other features too. Basically, we release a new update every month of Fluent CRM.
Yep. Well, Fluent Forms came onto the market. This is one of your other products, Fluent Forms, as a direct competition to Gravity Forms, and has been really, really well received. I think that, I don't know if I'm right with this, but you seem to answer all of the things that people were slightly frustrated with around Gravity Forms. You listened to that feedback from the community that wasn't necessarily being implemented for Gravity Forms. Gravity Forms is like a solid product, but it wasn't moving very fast. At least it didn't seem like that as a customer. I was a customer of Gravity Forms. And then you had your product Fluent Forms, which did really, really well. And then you moved into the area of creating a full-on customer relationship management software within WordPress itself, Fluent CRM. And then you obviously launched 2.0 a couple of months ago. Now, I've got to say, when I first heard about CRMs coming into WordPress, I was like, that is the wrong thing. We shouldn't be having CRMs in WordPress. But I have to admit that when I was thinking that way, I was actually completely delusional about something else in my business at the time. So if you look at kind of the people that you're aiming at, web designers, agencies, business owners, I had something like 25 clients. Right. So I could have no CRM and just call all of them over the space of one day. I could potentially phone call every single one of my clients in one day. So I was always looking personally at CRMs of like, right, I need 2,000 contacts. I need to be able to do all these automations, all this kind of thing. And so when I realized later on that maybe I get 2 inquiries a week maximum, and I don't need to have a massive automation going on with Zapier connecting to 15 different apps. I realized that maybe it is a good place to have your CRM inside WordPress, because you can have your forms collecting stuff in WordPress, and then that's going straight into your CRM where you've got your automations. You might then be converting those people to WooCommerce customers, which you can then interact with in the CRM. And then definitely more recently, the talk I've done at the Page Builder Summit was all about Core Web Vitals, right? And one of the things that I found in my research into that was that the more external scripts that you have on your website, the more delay in loading that you're having. So I started to think that if you're using something like ActiveCampaign and you're tracking users, then you've got a constant tracking script loading in the background, tracking everything. But if you have that on WordPress itself, then it's not loading externally. So it really started to make sense to me that you could build your whole funnel within a CRM on your website, especially if you don't have 5,000 customers, right? If you've got like 25 and so or even a few hundred or something, it totally makes sense. And I know if anyone's just listening to this right now, they can't really see it, but the thing I'm looking at the moment was what Jewel was talking about, which is the multipath conditional automation funnel. And I can't believe that this is in WordPress. I'm looking here at this automation diagram that you can create within your WordPress website, and this is the kind of thing that used to really turn me on with SaaS software. I would buy any software that had a diagram in it like this. So it's well done to you guys building this straight into WordPress. But the thing is as well, the actual article we want to discuss is that Fluent CRM has won, and congratulations, has won TalkMag's WordPress Plugin Madness competition for 2021, which is a community voted competition. And you've got previous winners of this competition because it's been running since 2016. You've got Advanced Custom Fields. Sorry, Bernard. You've got Doipy Smush, won 2 years in a row. You've got Elementor, won 2 years in a row. So these are huge known plugins. And this year, Fluent CRM won it. And you are the youngest plugin to win it as well, as far as I understand. So you are a new product coming into the market here, and you've won this competition. And I know that this competition is kind of just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But it is prestigious, and people do take notice, and it is super impressive to have won it. So first of all, congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Second, how did this all happen? Like, how come you entered? And because I saw that you got some influencers really backing you on this.
Definitely.
So I'm really interested to see what happened there.
Yeah, definitely. So I would like to share actually. So I don't know how we got into the competition actually. So maybe someone from our team or one of our customers actually give the information to TalkMag actually. And then in the first round, I don't know how we on the first round because I did not focus on that. So after the first round, someone actually shared in our Facebook group that, hey, you are now in the second round. So then I actually focused, and then I see that lots of our customers actually talking about it. And the first of all, actually, our customer base or how we operate our business, that is a bit different than other companies. Basically, we build our products around our community. So we have a Facebook group for Fluent Forms as well as another group for FluentCRM. And our team actually talk to our customers directly, and we discuss lots of things, what features should be in our next version or in this quarter. And basically, our customers give us idea what need to be implemented. Same for Fluent Forms, same for FluentCRM. And so basically, we have a very strong community, and we listen to our users. and then implement those features that our customers want. So they are like our partner. So when we are in the second round, then our customers actually they have other communities, and give me a moment, sorry. Yeah. So they actually share the competition to their own community, like say Martech, WP Crafter. So they have a huge audience. So like WP Crafter has like 40,000 users, and Martech has like 10,000 plus users. So they also love us, our company, and basically they voted for us. And without their support, we could not do that. So once we are in the like say, semi-final, then our customers actually got more excited than us. So basically, then we won that. So it's not full of our credit, or it's not we have a very big numbers, but the community we covered, that was actually very big. Like I think some people actually voted us even they did not use Fluent CRM. Maybe they were our Fluent Forms users. So we have like 70,000 Fluent Forms users. So they also voted for us because they did not use Fluent CRM, but they know the company and they want to help. So I think it was like a network effect, and that's how actually we won. Yeah, it was actually pretty exciting. So it was like a Fluent CRM in this market, actually in this competition, Fluent CRM was like the underdog.
Yeah, totally. When you won the competition? Did they send you anything like a trophy or a certificate?
Yeah.
No.
So they emailed me, actually. They are saying that okay, they are working on a trophy and they will send to me. So it was actually fun.
That's cool. That's cool. That is
Yeah.
very, very cool. It's funny, on the screen at the moment we have a comment from someone in one of the communities there. And this is a chap here called Ewok, who I actually remember this guy from the communities when I used to buy a lot of software all the time. I had to leave a lot of those communities because honestly, I became properly addicted to buying software for a while. So I've left all those communities for now, just so I can, control myself basically. But this guy here, Ewok, I remember him, and he is the hardest person to make happy about any software. If you release some software and there's anything kind of ignorant about the way you're releasing this, or you're trying to, trick the community or something like that, this guy would tear you to pieces. So you got a positive comment here from Ewok, and that's really, really good. And you can see up here there's a comment from Atlee here from the Martech group, and there is Adam Preiser there supporting you, and he's got a huge YouTube channel as well, which I know that you can go and check out his channel actually, because he's got some content about he's covered your CRM a couple of times on there, so you can go and find out how that all works. So what's next for Fluent CRM then? I mean, you need to probably have a rest first and have a little break.
Yeah, definitely. But so we have a full-fledged team for Fluent CRM, and so basically we have a team for a specific product. Like we have a separate team for Fluent Forms, separate team from Fluent CRM, and also Ninja Table and our other products. So we have a very big team actually. And the Fluent CRM team, they are kind of working with some other parts. So our product name is actually Fluent CRM, but actually currently it only automate your kind of email marketing, and some other automations, but it does not do other things like a real CRM do. Our target is actually to make the build other modules for how a true CRM should have features, and we will build those and we will release those component too. So that is a kind of our goal for Fluent CRM. One of the components that we currently we are working, that is the support. So we have most of our actually customers are agency, and they need to manage the support ticketing system for their clients, and currently they are using SaaS services. So they were asking if we can provide the support from our WordPress 2, because we have the CRM in WordPress, all the data here, so we'll get more insight from a support system. But it makes sense, because when you will see a support ticket, you can actually see all your data in your just beside your support system. So maybe in the next quarter we will release our support ticket system, and then we have a plan for for offline businesses. We have a plan for like sales pipeline system to build on top of Fluent CRM. So that is another thing that we are actually planning now.
Nice. Well, Charlie, there you go. There's your answer. Charlie had a comment there. Jewel, are you bringing out a support system plugin? I heard a rumor. So is that confirmed then? You guys are releasing a support system plugin?
Yeah, it's confirmed actually, because currently we are using it. I think last 3 months we are using in our website. So we are giving all the support, ticketing, replies, and managing every query from our own plugin. And I think we have like 20 people. They are helping us in the beta phase, and they started using it in their real websites. It's still in beta.
Cool. Well, check it out. Look at this. That is the actual trophy that they're going to send to you. I hope that trophy is as good as that one. I mean, that looks like it's like Champions League soccer level trophy.
Our wizard tournament trophy.
Our dealers actually build make it. So it's not. I don't think they will send something like that, but I think whatever they send, that will be really fun.
Yeah. Well, I hope make sure you post it in the Dopey Builds group when you post a photo of the trophy when that comes through.
Yeah.
So well done. Well done. That's Charlie wants to know when it's launching, and he wants to buy the lifetime deal, which he assumes. I assume you'll be selling a lifetime deal. I did actually see people were talking in the Page Builder Summit saying, "What's your best lifetime deal?" And Fluent CRM was one of the top reported ones there.
Yeah. So basically, when we launch a product, we give a lifetime deal for people. So getting the initial customer base, initial supporter, because our customers actually is one of the part of our future development, because we want to help them what they like, what they dislike, what features it should be there. So for us, initial customer base, that is very important for us and very helpful for us. So it really helps LTD users, and so it's good. And I can say that our it's like 8 months of Fluent CRM, and we have really a good ARR, and our monthly sales really looks good. It's like we are in 8 months we are in break even point. Still we have like many developers in this project, but we are in break even. So kind of, I think from the next month, this project will be actually profitable itself.
Yeah, I think you're doing great. And I think Adam Preiser, what did he say? He said, in his words, you're crushing it, is what he said. So obviously you're doing pretty well there. Just while we've got Hans and Donata on the show, so if you have a CRM built into WordPress, I mean, if you've got a CRM outside of WordPress, then I guess it's the same. But is there anything extra that, if you were advising your customers that their clients had websites using a CRM, is there anything special people need to know, or is it just you need to disclose that and how you're using the information as usual, and there's nothing extra special there?
Yeah, so a privacy policy is built of 3 main parts. Obviously, there's a lot more specific disclosures that are required based on the laws that apply to you, but you need to let people know what information you're collecting, what you do with that information, and who you share it with. So for CRM, if you're using that, you'd say, all right, we collect names and emails. We use that information to manage our interactions with you and to kind of track you as a customer of where you are. And then you also need to say that you share it with a CRM. And a lot of people are very confused by this when talking about who you share personal information with. Number one, almost every website shares personal information with someone. So sharing personal information, the fact that you disclose that isn't like going to cause consumers to gasp and leave your website. Like everyone shares information. That's completely normal. And then another issue is that people will list the name of the CRM, or they will say, we share your information with the CRM. And both of those are completely correct. But one of them can require a lot more updates to your privacy policy than the other. So for example, let's say you're sharing information with an email marketing system, right? And right now you share it with MailChimp. So you can list, I share it with MailChimp, or you can say I can share it with an email marketing system. So if you say I share it with an email marketing system and you change from MailChimp to Constant Contact, you don't need to update your privacy policy. But if you list MailChimp, then you need to update your privacy policy every time you share that information with a different vendor. So we personally recommend doing it as to the category. So saying it, I share it with a CRM or I share it with an email marketing vendor. So you don't need to make a bunch of updates every time you switch vendors, especially with clients who don't tell you that they switch vendors either, right? So that's basically what you would need to disclose. And I do see a question from Charlie. Does Termageddon cover the UK law? Yes, we do. And that is for the privacy policy and the terms.
And I'll jump in real quick.
Yeah.
You know, now that you're ready, everyone listening, now that you're ready to leave HubSpot and go to Fluent CRM, that's a great example of why we go the route of disclosing with whom do you share data with. Just say CRM. That way you don't have to change out the actual names with who you need to share with. So a very common misconception we hear time and time again is people saying, oh, I thought you have to list the actual names of the companies with whom you share data with. No, you do not. A perfectly compliant alternative is to list the categories with whom you share data with. And because of GDPR and the UK Data Protection Act, which are mirror copies of each other, because of the fact that they disclose also that you should keep your policies as short as possible, that's yet another reason to focus on listing the categories with whom you share data with rather than the names of the companies. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Well, first of all, that's great to get that confirmed about the categories, because I get that question a lot, or I used to anyway. But secondly, I didn't realize you were doing UK law now. I thought that I don't know if that was relatively recent that you've started doing that. Or?
I believe we're the only generator to address it at first.
A couple months back. It took a while because UK has very specific consumer protection laws.
Yeah.
So if you're doing business online with consumers, your terms of service actually needs to be completely different than when you do business with other businesses. And no other generator covers that. So no other generator will actually include the consumer protection rules. And if you break those rules, then the terms of service is not enforceable, or you can get in trouble with consumer protection authorities, things like that. So it's very important to make sure that your terms of service covers consumer protection laws if you do business with other consumers online, especially in the UK, because you guys have some really nice rules for consumers and some really nice protections that I'm very jealous of living in the US.
Also in Ireland, we just launched Ireland a few months ago, and the consumer protection laws in Ireland are insane.
Yeah, I want to move there just for the consumer protection rules, man. You're like king as a consumer in those countries. It's crazy.
You can buy something and then return it 7 years from the date of when you bought it for a full refund. 7 years. Like,
that's great as a consumer.
A little bit crazy, but I'm used to crazy because I know if you know, but especially for Austria and Germany, there are existing special plugins to make your online shop compliant with the laws we have here. So it's crazy some things you have to do. Like, I mean, I always tell it's funny, but I always feel like because in Austria and Germany, you have to list the details about the product even in the checkout. So it's like if you're going to the cashier in the supermarket and the cashier says, okay, you're buying 1 liter of milk, or because are you stupid? I mean, I understand customers needs protections, especially against the big companies and things, but hurting it's only the small ones, because they now need to apply to all those laws and all those details, and if you don't list, I don't know, the taxes in the right place, you can be fined in Germany. I mean, that's bullshit. Sorry.
Look, I mean, let's be real. The reason why privacy laws exist is because of all the big companies harvesting data and making decisions based on that data. But now all small businesses have to comply with the same level of laws. Now, some laws, like CCPA only apply to bigger companies, but for the grand scheme of things, it's like you're any business and now you have to make all these disclosures. As a human being, I love the fact that we have a right to privacy. And as a human being, well, I don't get to because I'm from Chicago, but a lot of people can tell companies, get rid of my data, and they have to. Like, that's something worth fighting for. But in the same breath, as a lover of small business owners, my career is based on helping small business owners out. Like, I find it to be a nightmare that they not only need to make those disclosures, but they also have to have a strategy to keep up to date with the ever-changing privacy law landscape. And like, let's be real, most small business owners don't have 40,000 pounds or euros or dollars sitting around every year to have a privacy attorney monitor all 29 privacy bills in the US, the changes in the UK or in Canada, and just the EU and UK's privacy laws that have been in place. So yeah.
It's and actually EU consumer protection laws are changing this summer.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've been meaning to get to get us into the EU in terms of providing policies for EU customers, but I'm waiting for those rules to finalize so that I can do the engineering, because it doesn't make sense for me to do all of it and then change it all once the rules change. But I'm hoping that this newest change will be like a permanent-ish change, so I don't have to keep going back and forth, But I think it's kind of cool that, consumers get all these rights and abilities,
I think it's very special to be able to tell companies, privacy to me means humans are more important than companies. And I think that's something we got lost. We lost that kind of message. I really think it's a profound statement that people can tell companies, get rid of my data, and they have to. And I do believe that is worth fighting for.
Yeah, it's absolutely important and necessary, and because you never know what happens with your data, and if you connect multiple databases, and then the government changes, and then we don't employ you because at 45% probability you are, I don't know, going to rob somebody because people with your type of history have the same behavior, and that's just not the right thing to do.
Agreed.
Exactly, and some companies will offer those rights to everyone. Like we at Termageddon offer GDPR rights to everyone, regardless of where you're located from. And I think that's probably going to be the next trend in privacy. We're just going to stop caring about where you're from. You're just going to get those rights, because I don't want to deal with figuring out where you're from.
So I have a question actually. So Hans, so that is one thing that in our group there had a discussion actually about, like, for your company data, it needs to be reside in the EU data centers. And for that, I think we are seeing lots of new customers from EU region, especially for Germany, Austria, this type of countries. And so is that what's that law actually? I don't know, because that was discussed in our group. Like, say, for a business, if their CRM data center also need to be like in EU. Is that right, or something that you are aware of?
So it kind of depends on what privacy laws apply to you. So different privacy laws have different standards on transfers of data. But, when it looks into GDPR, so first of all, you would need to disclose the fact that you're transferring data to another country. So if you're transferring it from the European Union to the United States, you need to say that. And then there are certain standards that you need to meet when it comes to the actual transfer. So about a year ago, in the United States, we used to have an agreement between the US and the EU called the Privacy Shield. And Privacy Shield basically allowed companies to transfer data if you met certain requirements. And the Privacy Shield was recently validated by Max Schrems. There's a huge case about it, so you can no longer use it as a potential data transfer mechanism. And I believe he is German, right, Bernard?
That's from Austria.
Okay, he's from Austria. But really cool guy, like really interesting guy. He's brought up all these cases and stuff. So basically, if you do end up transferring data from the EU to the US now, you can't use that Privacy Shield framework. You can potentially do it if the consumer consents to it, or you can do it under what's called standard contractual clauses. So it's basically a contract between you and the people that you're transferring to. So for example, like a data center or something like that, that basically requires the data center to meet certain standards when it comes to privacy and all of that stuff. So it's kind of complicated, but there is a way to do it. You just have to be really careful about it. But because that's such a hot topic right now, because you have to meet so many different rules to do it and so many different things that you need to do, a lot of people end up just keeping that data in the EU so they don't have to deal with all those transfer rules. So that's kind of the short and quick answer.
And I think that's one of the reasons where people are kind of doing self-hosted using self-hosted softwares. So I think self-hosted softwares are getting popular nowadays.
Yeah, the transfer data is a nightmare now because of all these rules that are changing, and it seems like there's some movement at the U.S. of trying to establish a new privacy shield type of framework. But if they do establish it, I'd be very careful using it, because as soon as Max Schrems wakes up and decides he doesn't like it, it's going to be gone. So
yeah, he's very busy on that end, and I think it's a good thing that
it is. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Although it's annoying for us to deal with, but the law behind is important, so that people are secure and can have their data deleted and stuff like that. And that's the reason why in Europe, most of the people try to have their data stored somewhere in Europe. And that's the reason why the data centers are local, and Microsoft stores European data in Europe and all the others, because they know it's just easier to avoid the confrontation and the possible head edges. And then it's always like this feeling in Europe, if in America somebody breaks the law, and then there is that they want the data and stuff like that, then it's far easier for the American government to get the data and stuff like that. And I think it's the right thing to do, and then you never know.
Yeah, well, we're actually, I think, out of time. I'm not sure what happens after the time that we go over, so we're going to have to leave it there. But the big takeaway I've got to say to people, first of all, like we said, is that people are more important than companies. But the even bigger takeaway is that if you are in Ireland, you can go to Bernard's family chocolate store, buy some chocolate, and send it back to him in 7 years and ask for a refund. So that's what I recommend you all do, and see what happens. Before we sign off, there is one more super quick article that we can look at here, and this is just a fun little one that some of you might have already heard about. That a designer living in Buenos Aires in Argentina managed to snap up the google.com.ar domain after the domain temporarily became available in the Google in the domain registry. I think that if you want to go and check this out, just go to the Guardian website, or just search for this. If you just search Argentinian buys Google domain, I'm sure there'll be lots of articles about that. But how that happened, I don't know. And but I think it's quite funny anyway. So I'm not sure what he or she put there after. But I'm pretty sure that when he bought it, he knew stuff was going to happen. Stuff was going to kick off straight after that. And it's kind of like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to buy it, and then I'm going to sit and eat the popcorn and watch what happens here.
I wonder if somebody got fired for letting that slip.
Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I mean, the thing is that this does happen. Domains do get do expire, but it's usually when the janitor of the company bought the domain, then moved to Australia or something, and no one knew where the domain was. But come on, man, this is Google. This is the company we trust with our personal domain data, and they forget to renew their domain.
Like every once in a while. I think a couple years back, a guy also bought a Google domain for like whatever, €5 or something like that after it expired.
It's Google.com.
And what's funny is that every time this happens, the person that ends up buying the domain is like the nicest person of all time. Like they don't ask for billions of dollars, which they totally could. I think the guy asked for a Google hat and a tour of their facility, and that was it. And then he was like, "All right, now I'll give this domain back to you."
And then, Google cut a check for that person because he just gave it back to them, didn't want anything. Google ends up donating a check in his name, and the check amount was Google, but in like phone, if you like convert like numbers, like
nice.
Yeah, they did it in GOOGL dot, and then in pennies it was LE, and that was the check amount they wrote on behalf of this person as a donation somewhere, and like what a great story. But
it is a good story.
If you ever have any clients that their domain expires, you can always reference this. Like even Google, this even happens to Google people. Like we'll get through it. So.
Don't feel too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that person actually purchased that domain from Google.com, Google domains.
What was
Say that again? Sorry.
I mean, that person, the Google.com, the person actually bought, that was from Google.com.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he bought it on Google domains. He bought Google
domain.
Right.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone today. Thanks Hans and Donata, Bernard and Jewel, and everybody who's come and listened or watched today. And we've got to do the wave thing now. Bernard knows all about this, but basically I need to press the end broadcast button, and what we have to do is wave awkwardly until we think it's gone off. So if you could all start waving, even you at home, kids, you can do it too. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
We're doing the hand signal.